Setlist Stand Up Without a Net live from the Soho Theatre in London, where some of the UK's favorite comedians are coming on stage with no preparation whatsoever. We'll tell them what they're going to be talking about in stand-up created in the moment and under pressure.
What could possibly go wrong?
Ladies and gentlemen, right now it's a never-before-seen set list of Tim Minchin!
So apparently, if you watch all the way to the end of the Titanic film, when the credits roll, they show you all the scenes that they deleted, not only from the movie, but from history. Because history itself, directed as we know it is by a fairly heavy-handed director, gets edited down, and often the bits that get cut and left on the editing room floor by the director are the best bits. And so what we don't know about the Titanic, both historically and in the movie, is that, of course, it came back up again. But that it didn't suit the story back in the early 20th century. We wanted stories that had drama, and people seemed to want at that stage in history a lack of resolution rather than resolution. So both in the history and in the movie, they cut it just before the end of the bed floated back up. And down in the bottom of the ocean, that minx, that slut who cheated on Robert Downey Jr., Robert Downey Jr.? Doesn't matter. She had found an octopus who had kept her warm, and the boat itself had hit a submarine air bubble, an SMAB, and a SMAB. They call it a SMAB in oceanology, and the boat floated up here, and all the crew and all the poor people, and the water drained out, and they were doing Irish jigs because they're racist, and the bed end floated up with that slut on it. Leo DiCaprio is still there, rock hard boner, makes love to her. They get on the ship, sail for 9 months, and as they arrive in New York, they give birth to a child who goes on to be an anti-Semite who starts the Second World War. And as a result, shipping has been dominated by Eastern European countries ever since. Sometimes errors are given very high status every year. The greatest errors on the planet are collated by the error police and as the error police. And the error police collate all the errors and have been doing for 200 years. And the greatest errors are put into a final, and then there's an error off, and people have made really big mistakes, political, inventing the euro, stuff like that. They go into a final, and whoever wins gets to go to the Vatican and is honoured by the Pope. And that person, in modern days, of course, because we're all into funny vernacular and quirky phrases, used to be called the great godly honour of erroneousness. And now, of course, it's all catchphrases, like it's a holy fail. And so now they go, and the Pope, who is known to be the person on the earth who has is in charge of the institution that has the greatest record of errors ever in the history of presents you with a cup. Of course, used to be a very functional vessel. But the person who invented it was one of the past winners of what used to be called the Grand Honour of Erroneousness, before it got changed in 1984 to the Holy Fail, which was like the Olympic logo, terribly contentious, but people grew into it because all change, any shift in paradigm satisfies in us the kind of craving for novelty that we all carry around with us. And so the cup that was invented as this prize in 82, 2 years before the change of title for the competition, was absolutely riddled with cracks and crevices. So not only was it a grail which failed, but it was holy in more than one sense. Fuck you, I was doing all right without it. Don't say syphil, no. Don't say AIDS, no way. Say Chlamydi-YEAH, yeah, yeah. I want to keep going with that one. I just syphil, yes. Chlamydi-YEAH, AIDS, nay, yay. Sexual transmission, affirmation. Everybody loves it. Say Chlamydi-YEAH, Chlamydi-YEAH. It's weird. That's Brendan Burns' laughter. And he is both a fellow Australian, a much admired comedian, something that people don't necessarily know because of the filth he spouts out of his mouth. He's also, to me, an incredibly admired intellect. He's an incredibly smart guy. But the reason he was laughing through all that is because he's riddled with sexual diseases. Absolutely. Most of his genes are STDs. He's basically like a hotel for parasites. Basically, he's just a sort of a petri dish for diseases to live in. And I have his foreskin on my notice board at work. And the way that came about was incredibly interesting. See, Brendan, I first came to Edinburgh in 2005, and Brendan's been like a big brother to me. Always, he's been very supportive in his filthy way. He's sort of, fucking great, fuck, cunting great, Minchin, you're one of my favourite cunts. And clearly I wasn't. He made it very clear afterwards that I was 7th or 8th in his list of cunts that he preferred. But anyway, because he was like a brother to me, we spent a lot of time together those first couple of years in Edinburgh, and eventually we ended up inevitably, like all Edinburgh evenings, in a shower. And being a Jew, I, of course, don't have a foreskin.
I had no idea.
No, of course, he wouldn't have fucked me if he'd known I was a Jew. So anyway, I said, Brendan, as we're in our post-coital cuddle and just me scrubbing to try and get the diseases off, I said to him, Brendan, if you're really going to be my brother in comedy, if you're really going to show me your support, you, like the potential husband of a Jewish woman in North London, will have to show your commitment to me, because love professed is nothing without action. And if you want to be a part of my family, a part of my comedy, a part of me, who I am, we have to whip that little foreskin off. And ever since, he was fine with it, and we did it. We got a moil. There was a local moil. Edinburgh, you can get it. You look in the yellow pages under Edinburgh moils. EM. If you go EM on Google, you get Edinburgh Motors, and we went to them first. And as soon as I saw the tools they turned up with, I was like, we've gone terribly wrong. Anyway, so I eventually got a moil who came with his filthy, dirty scalpel with which he had cut off the pieces of the penises of countless Jews. And I said, cut your foreskin off, and Brendan was fine with it, and he's had a clean penis ever since. But he's just a little bit damaged, enough so that when we talk about it, he'll only ever refer to it as the incident. In the same yellow pages, if you look under S, or if you Google SC, Edinburgh, you'll get a few things. You'll get Scientific Conservatoire, which is where very talented scientists go to learn to play plants. You'll get Scrotum Consultant, which is often, actually, the scrotum consultant we went to was in the same building, and he mostly does flattening procedures. I can't remember his name. What was his name, Brendan? I think it was Stephen, the scrotum consultant, getting the wrinkles out since 1963. And just under that, you get a sausage consultant. He's actually a butcher. He teaches butchers to make different sausages. Of course, in Scotland, famously, their food is not very good, so they have sausage consultants who teach people to put actual nice meats and pork and herbs and lovely stuff like red onion into their sausages instead of just the same old deep-fried Mars bars. And of course, it was to the sausage consultant we went after the incident, because Brendan was starving. Thank you very much.